On Law Call.
Good evening and welcome to WAAY 31 Law Call. I'm Sharon Doviet. Tonight it's Ask Us Anything night, but we're also especially interested in your thoughts about some of the legal issues that are in the news right now. So your comments or your questions about things, everything from what constitutes a lawful order for the military, a lot of that's coming up in the news these days. The Epstein case and files, we're curious if you have thoughts on that, the legal issues that are behind that. But it's also Ask Us Anything night. So if you've got questions about car accidents, a medical case where someone got poor medical treatment, or a pharmacy drug that was given to, the medication given to you wrongly, and you were injured from that, call in. The 31 Law Call number, 256-536-0077. You can call in, or you can text us your question to that same number if you're shy and don't want to be on the air, but we love talking to you live too. You text it 256-536-0077. You can also email a question on any legal topic any day of the week. You send it to lawcall@waytv.com, and when we get to a show that's on point, we pull out some of your email questions. We've got some of your email questions tonight. We've also got Will League from Timberlake League and Brooks. Good to have you here tonight.
Sharon, glad to be here. We've got Thanksgiving coming up. A lot of people on the road.
Yes.
So we'll be talking about, it's Ask Us Anything night. I think our producer said legal issues in the news. James Comey, we got a grand jury issue. The president may veto he can veto. We'll see what happens there. If anybody's got any questions, be brave. 536-0077 for text, or give us a shout. So, we're going to talk about some of those issues if we get the questions or what people want to talk about.
While we get some of your calls locked in, we've got some video for you tonight. You make the law call on this one. Okay,
this is a bit crazy.
This is bizarre. You don't want to be the lady sitting on this bench right here as they're picking up the trash. What was it? Was the garbage can, maybe it's chained to because it doesn't look like they're attached?
It's too close. I mean, look, the claw grabs the bench itself, and the garbage can is too close to the bench.
Oh, is that what's happening?
If anybody's ever putting two garbage cans out on the street, you kind of make them far enough apart where that claw can get them. Now, that's tough, man.
What do you make
of
that?
So she's sitting there minding her own business, or he.
I think I would have been getting up if I were her, but she didn't. And I believe that she's fine after this, but if you had injuries from something like this, what do you think about this as a personal injury attorney? What do you see? Is it the city that pays for that garbage truck, or is it the garbage truck operator?
Is it a private company, or is it through the city? Okay, so a couple different things. If it's a private company, their employees are liable if they're in negligence. So they were supposed to grab the garbage can, didn't. It was an accident. It wasn't on purpose, but still, that's negligence. Would a reasonable operator, grab the bench and throw the bench over with the lady on it? So I think a jury would say, hey, that's negligent, not criminal, but there is some liability there. Let's say that's a municipality against a city. Then you have to comply with the statute of non-claims. It's like an internal statute of limitations. Sometimes it's a year, sometimes it's 6 months. And if you have a claim against the city, you have to file a claim, make sure they know within that time frame, and then you got to deal with immunities. Oftentimes cities have discretionary immunity, where if an officer or an employee is following the law and is able to use discretion under that law, a lot of times the law will provide them immunity. In this case, probably immunity wouldn't apply.
Okay.
But again, when you have a municipality, a city, they're going to have caps, damage caps, but also some immunity arguments to make. So that's something to be aware of.
A lot of people see something like that and they say, do I have a lawsuit?
Right.
It matters whether she was actually injured, right? I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible. Right. But if she was fine, does she have a lawsuit?
Well, I mean, if there was property damage, if she damaged her phone, or this, that, and the other, technically she would. The injuries, you got to have a doctor testify to the reasonableness of the injuries. Are they related to that particular incident? Are the bills, to treat those injuries, are those related? So you have to have expert testimony to come in to talk about that and testify to those issues. And then there is a claim to be made. And, you have to look at different laws for the municipalities than you would a private company in terms of different standards and immunity standards.
The booth says they at least owe her a cup of coffee. Yes, they do, Brian. I think that was Brian back there. So we've got callers waiting. We've got Deborah on the line with a question or comment from Huntsville. Hi, Deborah. Thanks for calling. What are your thoughts tonight?
Hi, thank you.
Sure.
I was calling to see if there's anything that can be done about these telemarketers calling, constantly harassing us about the Medicare Advantage plans and end-of-life insurance.
She's constantly getting calls from telemarketers. Can she do something about their pesty? Can she do something about telemarketers?
Man, it's calling your cell phone?
Calling your cell phone,
Okay.
Deborah?
House
All right,
phone,
so the
work
Federal
phone,
Trade
it doesn't
Commission,
matter. They try to
the
say-
government, they had this a good handle on it a few years ago.
Yeah.
Something slipped. I don't know if the federal government has loosened the reins on oversight. You know, contact your state senator. I'd contact the House of Representatives. It's a federal issue, and the Federal Trade Commission can put limits on these types of invading calls, and they had a good handle on it.
Yeah.
For a while, and then I think they gutted that particular, I think DOJ gutted that department.
Yeah.
So thank you, Elon Musk, but get ready. I mean, everybody's wanting you to respond to the Nigerian prince. Everybody wants to, sign you up as a marine biologist and all those things. And you can block those numbers and continually, report it as junk to your cell phone provider and contact your federal representative.
And Deborah had just come in. She says it's her home phone as well. I have aunts that have that tell me they're constantly getting calls to the home phone. That the home phone, almost all the calls coming in are telemarketers, spam. It's something like that. So
Right.
home phone numbers too.
I wish we could do something about it.
We got this email question before we take a break. This is the second one. This is from Jason. Jason says, is it the city's responsibility for fixing potholes? All the ones on my way to and from work are killing my car, and I know the mayor's office is not up for paying my repair bill.
Interestingly enough, if the city is on notice of a pothole and they don't fix it within a reasonable time and your automobile's damaged, then the city will pay that bill.
Okay?
Okay, I talked to the city attorney. They were looking and evaluating those cases. But again, just like we talked about earlier, there's a statute of non-claims. You got to make sure to put your claim in before the internal statute limitations passes. Usually it's 6 months for a city municipality.
Okay, that's
a county's
quick.
a year.
That's quick.
So you want to make sure to, I guess everybody's Barney Fife, citizens arrest. But if it's a pothole on your way to and from, contact the city, let them know about it. The street lights out, let them know about it. If they don't know about it, they can't fix it. So oftentimes it comes down to notice, and was it out or there a reasonable amount of time for them to have fixed it. And so those are the things to look at.
How about interstate? Like 565's got a lot of work being done on it, and they've got those grooves in the road. It seems to pull your car one way or the other.
Right.
Is that city, municipality? Is that state?
I think it's going to be state in conjunction with the federal. So
Okay.
you want to start with the state and then
Okay.
work your way up.
Okay. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. I know we've got callers waiting. Patricia, you're next up. Stay with us. We're going to take a quick break and be right back answering your questions and comments tonight. All kinds of legal issues in the news.
Award-winning personal injury and wrongful death law firm, Timberlake, League and Brooks, featuring the knowledge and experience of attorney Michael Timberlake, attorney Will League, attorney Heath Brooks, attorney William Maservi, and hosted by broadcaster and family law attorney Sharon Doviet. This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Welcome back. Tonight we've kind of opened it up. It's Ask Us Anything night. Well, we're also really curious your thoughts about legal issues in the news. Will League's here from Timberlake, League and Brooks. First one up, we got a text question in you wanted to address.
Hey, the Michigan Trust, it will be valid in Alabama as long as it complies with our laws. And so I would sit down with a trust attorney to make sure. If it does not comply with Alabama law, it has to be redone. So I would sit down with a probate trust attorney.
Thanks for your question on that one. Patricia is waiting online. Hi, Patricia. Thanks for waiting through the commercial break. What's your question or comment tonight?
Thank y'all.
Sure.
Yes, I've got a property issue question.
Okay.
I just had a recent neighbor move in next door. I've lived here 20 years, and my property's been surveyed, but theirs has not. But he keeps putting up a line that's infringing on my property.
A line like a phone line or a line? What kind of line?
Like a cord, you know,
right.
a string.
If you've got boundaries, you've had the boundary shot, then and they're on your property, it's trespass. You can call the local authorities. They should come out. But again, if it gets further than that, you're going to file a civil trespass against him for damages and things like that. And you're right to go ahead and put him on notice, because adverse possession comes in. Let's say he did it for 20 years, didn't say anything, and he paid taxes on it. Then it becomes his land, arguably. So as long as you put them on notice and follow those procedures, and he's not open and obviously habitating your land, then you should be all right.
And I think Patricia had a second part of her question, or a second question.
Yes, I keep putting up no trespassing signs, and they keep disappearing.
Oh, somebody's taking them down. Okay. What do you do about that?
I tell clients, on the property stuff, get some cameras up. Their destruction of property, property, if they're coming on your land, taking your signs down, things like that. The local authorities, they don't want to get involved in property disputes. However, you want to make sure to put the defendant on notice that they're trespassing on your property. And then if it goes further, you may have to file a lawsuit.
We've got Teddy on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Teddy. Thanks for calling in. What's your question or comment tonight?
Hello. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I'm wanting to know about the shooting, the police-involved shooting with the young lady, the mother that was pregnant, was accused of stealing alcohol. Deadly force was used. She ended up getting killed. She was asked to get out of the car 3 times. She refused, said no 3 times, put the car in gear, and started to pull forward. The police officer shot her. When is deadly force acceptable? And do you think deadly force was okay in this case?
Was this the one? Where was this again, Teddy?
Thank you.
Where was it? Was it in Decatur?
Teddy, before you leave us, where was this one again?
I believe it was in Ohio. It was just a recent case. It was on the news. There was a young black woman that was shoplifting alcohol, or accused of shoplifting. Right. They had a video of her putting bottles in her purse.
It's always a tough scenario. So the law is, here in Alabama, you can stand your ground. You can use reasonable force if you fear reasonable force is being used on you. Deadly force to defend yourself or a third party against deadly force or serious physical injury. Same for the officers. If they're in threat of serious physical injury or death, they may use and are authorized to use deadly force. Now, don't want to Monday morning quarterback it, but again, I want the officers, my officers, our officers, to be able to protect us without fear. If they do something wrong, they're going to be prosecuted. However, they're trained to follow the law and the policy procedures. This lady, because she was guilty of theft, because she didn't respond to orders, does not mean that she may be killed or deadly force can be used. However, if she puts that vehicle in drive, or she puts those officers in a reasonable apprehension of serious bodily injury or death, they may use deadly force. And so to hold the officers to a higher standard where they have to be in a situation where it's too late for them to act, I don't think that's reasonable from a community standpoint. And so using force is a power we provide the police officers, and with that power comes great responsibility. So each case is different, and so the law must be followed. But again, my heart goes out to officers who are in a dangerous situation, and they're in trouble for reacting to that dangerous situation. So it's a very slippery slope that I think the community, the law enforcement, and the policy and procedures all should come together so these officers, A, have protection, but B, the citizens have protection if they clearly violate those laws. And I think that's a reasonable balance.
Teddy, it sounds like you've been reading up on it and watching it a lot. What are your thoughts on what they did?
I think it was justified. It wasn't that the officer, he didn't even hesitate. I mean, as soon as she started to pull the car forward after he told her to get out 3 times, she told him no, no, no. And then she put the car in gear, pulled it forward, and then as soon as she started to ease it forward, he didn't hesitate. The gun came out, 1 shot, and she's dead. So it's like Will said, it's a slippery slope right there. Could the death been prevented? Could he have done something differently? But the judge and I guess the jury went in his favor and said that it was justified. It was a justified kill.
Yeah. It's when you look at those, it is a shame somebody doesn't follow the police's orders. They react.
Yeah.
And if they're getting something out of their vehicle, I just think it's unreasonable to ask the officer to just let's wait and see what they're getting out of their vehicle to put themselves in further danger. But that could be debated either way. Those are tough.
Thanks,
They
Teddy,
sure
for calling in and telling us your thoughts. We've got Tanya on the line with a question or comment from Madison. Hi, Tanya. Thanks for calling. What are your questions or thoughts this evening?
You.
You're welcome.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Yes,
Sure.
ma'am.
What are you thinking about tonight?
I work for a local delivery, a large local delivery online company.
Okay. Don't tell us the company.
And
Yep.
I will not, thank you. And I was told, of course, to clock out for my lunch, which is no problem. And now I am told that I need to clock out to fill the delivery truck up with gas. Is that legal?
Well, it sounds like you're furthering your employer's interests. And so I don't think that's right. Is it legal? What's the contract say? Is there something in your employment contract that we don't know about? Does it provide that you're compensated for that? But I don't think they can direct you when you're outside of company time as long as you comply with the policy and procedures. So each case is different. We'd have to look at your particular employment contract. If there's not one, what's the agreement? But again, if you're an hourly employee, typically you wouldn't be able, or they can't, direct your time unless they've got some sort of agreement outside of that. I don't think that's gonna hold up.
We're getting a lot of every time you hear a ding, it's like
Right.
every time you hear a bell ring, an angel gets its wings. We're getting a lot of text questions in tonight. Did you see one in particular? I'm going to ask you about the DUI case. Somebody was texting asking, is DUI, does it matter whether it's alcohol or what if it's your medication? What if it's the medicine that you're on and you get pulled over because you're driving inappropriately?
There's two different provisions: too intoxicated to operate a vehicle safely, or beyond the BAC, blood alcohol content limit. And so it can be a foreign substance, does not have to be alcohol. If you are too intoxicated to safely operate a motor vehicle, it can be the officer's testimony. It could also be toxicology reports. So yes, it's not just limited to alcohol.
Okay.
And the question about legal custody, the custodial parent, can they just move out of state?
Yeah, so I do family law. If you are the custodian, you've got primary custody, you are required to give notice to anybody that's got visitation rights with that child. Alabama law, there's a list of things that you have to tell the other person, and you have to do it in a certified letter and with a certain amount of time ahead before your intended move. Now, if you send it to that person and they don't respond, you've given them all the notice that's required and they don't file something with the court, then you would be free to move. You can move to Alaska. But if they respond and they object to it under the law, then you're going to have a case in front of a judge, and a judge is likely going to say, ma'am, I think it was a ma'am, You can move, but the child is going to have to stay here so that the other parent gets primary custody now, and you can be the out-of-state visiting parent. So go see a family law attorney. Be sure that you tell them it's tricky in how to do it, and if you mess it up, you can wind up taking a job somewhere else, selling your house here, moving away, and you've messed up, and the other parent can get custody away from you. We've got Michael on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Michael. Thanks for calling in. What are your questions or thoughts on a legal issue in the news?
Yeah, I was wondering about the Social Security, about the people getting the pay raise at the end of the year. It's on Social Security. Why are they giving us only a 2.6% raise and they turn around taking $20, $25 right back? How's groceries and stuff is?
It doesn't seem like enough.
Was there a report out that they're doing a 2-point-something raise on Social Security?
On the computer.
I'm sorry?
Getting a 2.6% raise, they're going to raise our insurance up $20, $25. That's going to make a lot of people lose money.
Yeah, it sounds like a wash. And if Obamacare, if it's not extended, those premiums could double, go from $300 to $600, and that's substantial.
Yeah,
that sure is. It sure
I'm
is.
hearing a lot of people complain of water prices going up.
All right, there's another question about Jeffrey Epstein files.
Okay.
If Trump's name's in there, is that grounds for impeachment? It depends on, is it just him and they email him back and forth, or is he violating the law while abusing children? And that's something up to Congress. They'd have to vote him out, and there would have to be an impeachment process. So is it impeachable? Yes. Is it likely? From what we've seen in history, probably not.
There was another Epstein question. Somebody saying, okay, if they had scrubbed part of the Epstein files, how are we going to know?
Man, I think the Department of Justice has them. They're under an obligation not to destroy evidence. They are going to redact names, to protect folks. We'll look and see what that redaction looks like. I don't know if we will know.
I don't know. We've got Clark on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Clark. Thanks for calling in. What are your questions or thoughts tonight? Hey, Clark, are you with us? One more try. Clark from Huntsville?
Yes.
Hey there. Thanks for calling in. What's your question or comment tonight?
I was asking about some legal advice.
Okay.
I got told to call this number. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
What's your question? Don't say any personal names or things like that.
All right. I left an apartment as they said either leave or be evicted, and I still had some balance left over. Would they be able to sue me for that?
Yeah. Did you sign the lease?
Yes, I did.
All right, so you got a contract. If you signed a lease and you leave and you still have a balance, they can sue you. Will they? Don't know. Depends on how far you are behind. If they've already leased the property, how organized are they? But yes, they can. It'd be a breach of contract claim. You've got deposit. You've got, other things. If you're supposed to pay rent, you've got a balance. You have to satisfy that, or you can be civilly liable if they choose to file a lawsuit against you.
How many months were left on your lease, Clark?
I think about 4.
Okay. Yep.
That's a long
That can
lease.
add up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you might be able to sublease it if there's a sublease issue. If there's not a provision in the contract that says you cannot sublease, you should be able to, and that lease would mitigate or lessen your damages.
Okay. We're going to take a break. Be right back. Answer more of your questions tonight. Timberlake, League and Brooks. They are personal injury attorneys. 256-536-0770 or 800-804-2502. The website is law-injury.com. And if you like them on Facebook, you can learn more about the law that way.
And our very own Sharon Doviet, family law attorney, child support and divorce, 539-7337, SharonFamilyLaw.com.
You had a special guest at the office this
We
week?
we did. Oh, my sweet daughter came and had lunch with me on her lunch break, and so yeah, that's there at the desk. And
Pretty girl, smart girl.
Yeah.
Are any of your kids going to become lawyers?
you know what? I got one in law school right now.
You do?
Sure
I didn't
do.
realize that.
Sure do.
Yeah,
Sure do.
good.
So
traveling right down the path.
Here we
I
go.
tried with mine. None. Thank you for all your calls and questions, and we'll see you next week.
Good night. Sharp broadcast, Sharon.